Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. My name is Tim Harris. It's 10 o'clock. It means it's time for 10 with Tim. We were going verse by verse through the book of Joshua. We just started yesterday. So today we're in Joshua chapter 2, verses 1 to 24. The story of Rahab the prostitute. I love this story. I really do. And I love reading this today. It's funny how, I guess, because I grew up in Sunday school, she was a harlot. That's what we called her in Sunday school. Not prostitute, but a harlot, because harlot sounds more like a Bible word. I don't know what I thought that was. I guess in most of our minds, Rahab, was running like a bed and breakfast or something like that. But no, she really is what she was, And it's important in the story, and she becomes an important woman. And this is where she is when God finds her. So you don't have to play around with this. Rahab was a prostitute. Now, we're on the eve of the battle for Jericho, if you can call it a battle. That's the whole thing, right? It's not going to be a battle. God's going to just simply cause the walls of Jericho to fall down. But nobody knows that yet. We know that. They don't know that. So the fact that Joshua sends spies into the promised land, I think that's ironic. I think it's kind of funny. I think he knows what spies are. Remember that Joshua and Caleb were among the original spies that went in to the promised land. They're the only two that came out and said, we can do it. We can, everybody else said, we can never do it. There are giants in the land. They'll crush us. They'll eat us alive. And then they get here and the giants are what? Rahab? The prostitute, ain't no giants, but I'm just saying Joshua knows a thing or two about spying out the land, right? And so he's a good general. And so he sends these men into the city to do reconnaissance. Really has one word for it. So they're doing reconnaissance, right? Why would they go to the house of a prostitute? Well, because they're in the military. No, yeah, they're guys. They're just guys, right? And they go into the house of Rahab because obviously Rahab has a house built right into the wall, which means easy in, easy out. And that's by design. Rahab is apparently a wise prostitute. She knows how to do business. And so again, she has her professional establishment, her house, right here by the gate, right here by the wall. That way, everybody coming in and out, people from out of town doing trade, everybody in the world has access to her house. And that's what makes her a good businesswoman. So that's what she does, and that's what she does. She's a prostitute, y'all. She does nasty things with men for money, and that's what she's always done. But that just means she becomes a very informed person. People, like naked people, will talk to you. Their inhibitions are down. It's a moment of vulnerability. There's pillow talk when it's over sometimes, and so just understand, Rahab is a very important person in the sense that she knows everything going on. Like, everybody comes in, they talk, and she keeps everybody's secrets. And so that everybody knows, you can tell her stuff because she's a professional secret keeper, among other things. The fact that she hides these men on the roof, it is a sign of her faith, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But make no mistake, it's just the kind of thing that she does. She is a woman of discretion. She protects her clients. She protects their identity. She protects everything about who comes and goes from that place, because she's going to be out of business if people start thinking that you go in there and the whole world's going to know you've been there. You understand? So the spies go to the easiest place in and out. They go to the place where nobody is going to, pay any attention to strange men coming in and out, because strange men come in and out of Rahab's house all day long, So just go there. Understand that. They go to the house of a prostitute. And honestly, verse 1 says they come to the house of a prostitute in Rahab, and they stayed there that night. That's what the New Living Translation says. But y'all, it says they slept with her. You can say, no, they didn't know, they didn't do that. Well, they may have. They don't just walk right in, perhaps to say, we're spies. They perhaps came in and it maybe took some time to to begin to tell who they were, to figure out if they could trust Rahab. I don't know, but the scripture here certainly leaves wide open the possibility that they went ahead and took advantage of the services. I don't mean to be crude, you all, but y'all know what I'm saying here. There are many different innuendos in the text that suggest that no, that's what they did. That's what she is. That's what you do there. So anyway, but it's a fascinating story, and she's a fascinating person. Guys, there's so much I want to say. I want to talk about her family because I think that's really interesting. When it becomes clear who these men are and what's about to come, notice how Rahab quickly says, listen, you have to promise me that you'll be kind. Oh, gosh, I love that. The word there is hesed. It's a very important Hebrew word. I'm talking about verse 12 where it says, promise that you'll be kind. Promise that you'll show loving kindness. Hesed is a word that's usually, attributed to God, his steadfast love, that loving kindness. It's a very important word. So it's a little bit more than just, hey, will you be nice to me? No, this is a solemn word, a word that's just freighted with meaning, usually related to God and his steadfast love, right? So she's saying, will you show steadfast love? Will you show this to my family? And it turns out she got brothers and she's got a father, like her father, mother, brothers, sisters, and all their families. And that's interesting. Either she's somehow the sole breadwinner, which is nearly unthinkable in the ancient world. We're assuming she's perhaps a widow because no young girl, in the ancient world dreams of being a prostitute. So perhaps she's a widow. We don't know, but the bottom line is it's going to be their job to take care of her. It's not her job to take care of them. So is she like a Joseph figure? Remember Joseph in Egypt who, manages to save his whole family, even though they don't deserve it. So maybe Rahab, I don't even know if they talk to her. She's a prostitute. Maybe she's been outcast, and this is her opportunity to do something kind to win her family back. We don't know, but it's just really weird. Understand that. Really strange that Rahab somehow has brothers, father, and all these people who should be taking care of her, and yet it seems like they don't, and she's in this position now to take care of them. I find that amazing. As I said, this whole thing is interesting because you have this whole military reconnaissance deal where they're coming in to spy out, to get military advantage, but that's not how it's going to happen. There's not going to be a fight, not a battle like that at all. They're going to walk around, we'll read that. They're just going to march around the walls. They're going to come tumbling down. You know it, right? So why the reconnaissance? Why the military intelligence operation? I guess it's not for military purposes. The only purpose I can imagine is God's got a plan for Rahab. Yeah, the prostitute, God's got a plan for her. What if this whole thing is just about Rahab? I'm going to have to flash forward to the end, y'all, because we're running out of time today. But you understand, of course, that when this story is recounted, in the book of Hebrews chapter 11, verse 31, I believe, I don't even mention Joshua, who fit the battle of Jericho, right? In the roll call of faith in Hebrews chapter 11, it's Rahab who gets to call that. It's Rahab's faith. The book of James, when James is talking about faith and works, he's trying to talk about what faith is. He uses Rahab as an example of faith. So somehow this woman who, when we meet her, she her reputation is, what it is. She becomes a champion of faith in the New Testament. Not only that, y'all, she finds her place in the genealogy of Jesus. This woman Rahab is going to become the mother of Boaz, who marries Ruth, who is like King David's grandmother. So Rahab's going to become like the great grandmother of David. Am I doing that right? So maybe this whole thing's about Rahab. God's got a plan for Rahab. God's going to use this woman in an important way in his plan to save the whole world. Rahab. What is it about her faith? Among other things, it's the way that she is able to act so courageously on the basis of such little knowledge. Her knowledge is weak. It's even secondhand. I've heard what God has done through you in other places, and now we're terrified because we know that he's about to do that here, So she manages to act with such courage on the basis of such little knowledge, and the New Testament calls that faith, you know? I guess what that means for me and you is, like we know a whole lot more than Rahab knew. We know a whole lot more about God. We know a whole lot more about what God is doing in the world, what God has done for us to save us. If Rahab can be a champion of faith, if she can act with such courage on the basis of such little knowledge that she had, I'm just saying, how much active faith should you and I have by now? I mean, my goodness, we're in this word every single day. We know a lot, Rahab becomes a champion of faith with just a smidge of what she knows, and you and I know enough, I think, by now to have some very strong active faith. We need to get with it. We need to get in the habit of acting on what we know, because that's what faith does. There are many people who see in this, Rahab and the spies, this picture of the church and the fact that they have all their different backgrounds, but there's this acceptance of one another. I love that. The way that in the face of destruction, they find salvation, through faith. That's like the church. A lot of people see that scarlet cord as a sign of grace, and it is. Hey, we see that scarlet cord. We're going to spare you. Scarlet cord is the sign of grace, and it's grace, of course, that brings us all our salvation. I just love that so much. That the fact that somehow it's faith that unites this prostitute and these spies, and what happens here that night in her house is sort of unspeakable, but also changes the course of salvation history. How God works with people. You just want to say, well, why didn't God find a nice lady? Why didn't God find, some good people, to work through? Well, God works with sinners because it's the only kind of people that there is. I've said that before. I'll say it over and over and over. That's the only kind of people there are. You are people like Rahab, people like me, people like you. We can be champions of faith. I love that. Tomorrow, Joshua chapter 3, verses 1 to 17. That's tomorrow. Joshua chapter 3, 10 o'clock. And listen, starting tomorrow, we're having a daytime revival here at Woodburn Baptist Church. 10:30 service on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. Tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. Starts at 10:30. I think we're going to bring in Chick-fil-A on Friday. So listen, if you're available in the daytime, and some of you I think are, Come be a part of our daytime revival, Woodburn Baptist Church, 10:30 in the morning, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, all right? If I don't see you then, I will see you at 10 o'clock here, right here, 10 with Tim, all right? I love you guys. Have a great day.